In the middle of a brutal war while Ukraine fights against Russia, a political earthquake has shaken Kyiv to its core. One of President Volodymyr Zelensky's closest associates has been accused of running a massive $100 million corruption scheme inside Ukraine's energy sector. Two top ministers have resigned, dozens of raids, bags of cash, wiretaps, and now Ukraine's credibility with the European Union hangs by a thread. This is the story of the biggest corruption scandal to have hit Ukraine since the war began. Hello and welcome back to TFI Global. While Ukraine struggles on the battlefield, a different battle is unfolding inside the government, a battle against corruption. And this time it isn't some low-level officials or unknown bureaucrats. It's figures close to Zelensky himself. The investigation was carried out by NABU, the National Anti-Corruption Bureau, and SAPO, the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office. After 15 months, more than 1,000 hours of audio recordings and over 70 coordinated raids, they uncovered a kickback and money laundering network worth $100 million. And at the center of it lies Timur Mindik, businessman, political insider, and a longtime associate of President Zelensky. Let's break down what investigators say actually happened. The scheme revolved around Energoatom, Ukraine's state-owned nuclear energy operator, one of the most sensitive and strategically important companies in the country. Contractors who wanted to work with Energoatom allegedly had to pay 10 to 15% kickbacks just to get their contracts approved or processed. They weren't optional payments, they were demanded. The bribery money then moved through shell companies, hidden accounts, and intermediaries. A portion was reportedly moved outside the country, shockingly even into Russia, according to NABU's findings. And all of this happened while Ukraine's energy infrastructure was being bombed, its cities blacked out, and millions of citizens struggled through winter without any electricity. Once NABU released its initial findings, the political fallout was immediate and devastating. Two top Ukrainian ministers resigned, Svitlana Grinchuk and Energy Minister Herman Helushchenko, Justice Minister and former Energy Minister. Both were named in connection to the broader corruption network. Zelensky publicly demanded their removal, calling it a matter of trust. But critics say the move was more about damage control than accountability. Helushchenko claims he is innocent and will fight the accusations. Grinchuk also denies breaking any laws. But the most explosive name remains Timur Mindik, a businessman, a co-owner of Zelensky's old TV studio, and a man with deep ties to the president. Mindik reportedly fled Ukraine just before the investigation became public. For many Ukrainians, that timing raised questions. Was he tipped off? Were powerful people protecting him? NABU says the laundering operations ran through an office in Kyiv connected to the family of Andriy Derkak, a former Ukrainian politician who later became a Russian senator. This alone sent shockwaves through the country. The idea that Ukrainian officials during wartime might be linked to financial networks tied to Russia is beyond alarming. Investigators say the scheme was methodical and systematic. Wiretaps caught conversations about kickback percentages, which companies to approve, which payments to speed up, and how to hide the money trails. Every day since the scandal broke, NABU has released more evidence, more recordings, and more documents. And each release seems to pull more government insiders into the spotlight. This corruption scandal doesn't just hurt Ukraine at home, it has major international consequences, especially with the European Union. Ukraine is desperately trying to move forward with European Union membership negotiations. Brussels wants strict anti-corruption reforms, clean governance and transparency. But this scandal involving a presidential ally, ministers and massive state contracts could derail years of progress. European Union officials are already demanding explanations. Western governments who send billions in aid are uneasy. Diplomats behind the closed doors are asking a tough question. Can Ukraine be trusted to handle financial support responsibly during wartime? It's a question Kyiv cannot afford to ignore. President Zelensky came to power promising to clean up corruption. He promised transparency, reform, a new era. But critics argue that the opposite has happened. Growing influence of oligarch-linked networks and repeated attempts by parliament to weaken the independence of anti-corruption agencies. In July 2025, major protests erupted across Ukraine after parliament tried to curb Nabu and Sapo's independence. The G7 intervened. Zelensky reversed the changes, but only after intense pressure. Now, this new scandal raises even more serious questions. Why were people so close to the president involved? How did $100 million move through government agencies unnoticed? Why did Mindik flee before the arrests began? And most importantly, is this the only scheme or just the one that was caught? Analysts warned the scandal could be the beginning of a broader purge inside the government. More resignations might follow, more arrests, and more revelations. Because corruption that grows to $100 million doesn't happen in silence. It happens when powerful people feel untouchable. As Ukraine fights a devastating war, it is also fighting a war within its own institutions, a war against corruption that has plagued the country for decades. This scandal involving nuclear energy contracts, wartime kickbacks, and shell companies, political insiders, and ministers is not just a minor embarrassment. It is a test of Ukraine's integrity, a test of Zelensky's leadership, a test of whether Kyiv can convince the world that it deserves the political and financial support it is asking for. As Nabu continues releasing evidence and as raids continue and pressure from Europe increases, one question remains. Can Ukraine defeat corruption with the same determination it shows on the battlefield? Only time will be able to tell. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe for more deep dives into global political developments.